Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This video is about planning your evening in Pattaya, and believe me, planning and Pattaya are two words that do not go together. Now we're on soy 6, but not the soy 6 you're thinking of. This is the soy 6 in Pratamnak, and this is Pratamnak Night Market. And we're going to have a chat about how not to bar find, really. We'll start off at the far end of the market, which is where, as you were looking at it before, the left side is all the food. This is so cheap, this market, I can't tell you. I mean, really, for food, for clothes, for everything, it's just got to be one of the cheapest markets in the whole of Pattaya. I mean, it's like Tepperset Road level or so, you know. Anyway, we'll have a look round. I'll show you all the food first, and then we'll go over and look at the knickknacks and souvenirs and clothes and everything. Just before we start, guys, this night market does have a nickname. Please do not write their nickname in the comments, or I shall delete the comment. Okay, just a little warning, because we're totally non-political. Okay. Now, I recently did a video about the ages of you guys who come to Pattaya, and I didn't realize just how many young and inexperienced guys are coming or have just recently been, and even guys who have yet to make your very first trip are watching the channel. Now, as well, of course, as all the old hands who know everything inside out. Now, one of the topics I do get emails about from the inexperienced guys is how to plan your evening, because they don't know what time things start and finish and all the rest of it. When you go out in Pattaya, how do you plan your bar finds? When I read emails like this, it reminds them of the way I used to think way back when I first came to Pattaya. Coming from a logical, organised society, which the UK used to be, where you're used to planning out your evening and everything, little did I know that at the time that the word Pattaya and the word plan cannot be used in the same sentence. As all old hands will tell you in Pattaya, it has a mind of its own, and it will completely disrupt and destroy any plans that you try to make. Now, this total disruption also applies to bar fines. Now, briefly, for any newbies listening, a bar fine is the fee you pay to a bar in order to take the lady out of the bar and join your company. When you walk from bar to bar, you will come across several potential bar fines. Now, what you do about this problem of choice, what do you do? If you live here, it's not a problem. You just make a mental note, or preferably a note on your phone for the future. But if you're on a vacation and only have a limited number of days, then time is precious and you don't want to mess up. Now, when I say mess up, I don't only mean that you want to make the right choice. I mean, you want to make the decision fairly quickly, because if the girl is that good, trust me, you will not be the only one who's noticed her. These days, 90% of the girls prefer ST. So it has changed from the days when you searched around for a nice one for the night, for the whole evening, the whole night. And you would find maybe 2 or 3 in different bars and have to choose one for LT. Now, it's changed. It's not like that anymore. Now, if it's still early in the evening and you want to have a look around and go around lots of bars and have a few drinks and see what you can find, and then maybe you come across something that you like, but it's still very early, and some guys will pay the bar fine. Because I'm talking about beer bars here. We're not talking about go-go's. This does not happen in go-go's because their bar fine's so expensive. So with beer bars, some guys will pay the beer bar fine, which is probably around 400 these days, or maybe 5, it depends. It used to be 3. And they'll tell the girl they'll be back at midnight. So she has a bar fine. Now then, let me tell you a little story about what happened to me, okay? Going back a few years, when I tried this. Alright, this is what happened. So I found a particularly nice one in a bar. And I decided to pay the bar fine. So I paid the 400 bar fine. And I said, I'll be back at 12, I'll be back at midnight. I made sure the girl understood, okay? So anyway, I went off with my mates and drinking and what have you. And then came back at midnight, as promised. And the girl was gone. Now, the mama-san said the girl had got too drunk with too many late drinks and was sick, and she'd gone back to her room to crash out, basically. And then the mama-san gave me back my 400 bar fine. I thought, okay, fair enough, lesson learnt there. So, a few days later, I was passing the same bar, and the girl was there. So I went over, we had a few drinks together, and ended up bar fining her, taking her to Insomnia. And the girl got fairly drunk. And later, when we were back in the condo, I asked her about the first night, when I'd bar fined her and came back at midnight and she was gone. And at this stage, the girl was quite drunk, so she just started laughing. And said that a couple of hours after I left, some guy came to the bar, bought her a drink, and said he wanted to bar fine her. Now the girl said that she couldn't, as someone had already paid the bar fine, and was coming back at midnight. Now this guy, the new guy, was obviously an old hand, alright? He got up, he went over to the bar, and he went to speak to the mama-san. 2 minutes later, the mama-san came over to the girl and told her it's okay to go with this new guy, she'll cancel the first bar fine. Then the girl said the following day the cashier, who was a friend of hers, had overheard this conversation between the new customer and the mama-san, and told the girl what had happened. And the guy, the bar fine was 400, right? The guy had offered 600 and given the mama-san a 200 baht tip or bribe to cancel the first bar fine. So, as I said, lesson learned. Are you open every day? Yes. Every day? All these, they're all open every day? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Did you see how cheap those pizzas were? 140 baht. I mean, that's like really, really cheap. I mean, that's like $4 or just over £3 English money. Really, really cheap. And funnily enough, the following day after I videoed this, I went back to try it, and I had one. And it was absolutely fine. It was thin crust, but it was absolutely fine. It was nice, quite filling. And look at the ribs, look at the pork ribs on the right hand side, and she's actually got crocodile. On the left side, the one she's pointing to now, those are crocodile. That's pork.
Yeah.
That's pork.
It's pork ribs.
That's not turkey.
Turkey have just only this.
That's turkey. Really?
It's very turkey.
Okay.
It's real turkey. You wanna try?
No, it's okay.
It's good.
Next time. Turkey, which is what she said is Thai for crocodile. So if you want to try crocodile meat, have a trip down to Soy 6 Pratamnak Night Market. They got it here. Well, they have it in many places. In fact, the airplane market where the Boeing jumbo jet was, remember they had it there in that other market. It's actually, I've tried it. It's fine. It tastes a bit like beef, actually. Anyway, I've tried it. So we're going to go and on the other side of the market now, while I continue with the conversation and the chat. So this is all clothes and souvenirs and trinkets and all the rest of it, not food on this side. Okay, so we'll carry on with the chat. Just going back briefly to that little story. The reason I believed it was because only a few days earlier I had done something similar and bar found a girl and said I'd come back later at 12. And when I actually did come back, she genuinely was actually in the back of the bar throwing up into a plastic bucket because it has so much lady drinks. So that's why I thought it was probably true, but obviously in that case it wasn't. But that's something that you've got to be aware of. And personally, I wouldn't do that again. I would never bar find and then come back later. And there's more reason not to do that these days. So let's continue into that particular discussion now. Now, nowadays, as I said earlier, 90% of the girls these days prefer ST. Now, that suits a lot of guys because there's such a huge choice. Now, if you're looking around the bars and it's still early, but you find something you particularly like, and it's no longer like it used to be, in that you had to commit to the whole evening early on and miss out on what you may find later in the night. Now, as always in Pattaya, everything is in constant flux, so you always seize the day, never delay, because the opportunity is fleeting and will be gone. So with the popularity of ST, you can commit immediately you find something you like, as long as where you're staying is nearby. That's one of the reasons that a lot of guys prefer to have a hotel or whatever, a room in the action, or close to the action, within 10 minutes walk at the most. So then 2 hours later, you're back on the hunt, and the night is still young. That's the beauty of ST. Better to do that and bar find early than take her around the bars on a bar crawl with you. And then, because what would happen then, what does happen, it's happened to me, it's happened to many guys, if you've done that, you come across something that you think is better and you prefer, but you're stuck with the first one. I just don't do that anymore, you know. Another plan for some guys is some guys like to try to avoid bar finds altogether. Now that's really only worth the effort, because it is an effort, if it's a go-go or a very expensive bar fine, you know. It's not worth it with cheap bar fines. So it is possible to get around it, but only really if there's genuine chemistry between you and the girl, and it really should be done in the right way. Now, when I say that, I don't mean have a couple of drinks with her and then slip your phone number into her hand. I know one go-go dancer who throws away half a dozen papers, cards, whatever, into the bin every night. No, by doing it the right way, I mean commit to paying the first but only one ever bar fine with this girl. Now, if the chemistry is right, then pay that first bar fine. And if you find that you made the right choice, which you'll discover over the next hour or two, then you can exchange phone numbers and line IDs in private. And all future meetings can be made minus the bar fine. And it also doesn't make it look like a cheap Charlie, which is what the girls think. They do think that. If you can't afford a bar fine, then, you know, you really are a cheap Charlie, is what they think, these go-go girls, you know. So, now if the girl then makes excuses and wants you to come back to the bar other nights and continue bar finding, then you know that she was faking it, and in which case you don't even do the second bar finding. You just move on. If the chemist is right, then you only ever have to do one bar find, then you get the line ID. Okay. Now, some guys plan to meet the girls after she finishes work, so she finishes at 3 a.m. And they always go eating with the mates until at least say 4 a.m. And then maybe they'll do the makeup and get changed or whatever, and she might stroll into the nightclub, like into whatever Republic or Insomnia or whatever at 5 a.m. when you're drunk and shattered and ready to leave. So that plan to meet up after work rarely ever works out. It does do sometimes, but not very often. Especially when you factor in Thai time, which means I arrive when I arrive. If, however, a plan works out, and by whatever means you get her contact details, and you become friends, and she meets up with you regularly with no bar fine, it's nice to call round every so often to her bar or her go-go, which it would be more likely, and just to watch her dance, and maybe buy her a couple of drinks, and then she feels appreciated and she doesn't think you're a cheap Charlie, you know. After all of this lovey-dovey behaviour and talk, make no mistake and never forget that it's business. It's all about money, especially in the early stages. From the girl's point of view, there is zero emotion involved, which is often not the case with so many of you guys. So many of you guys mix up like and love, which in my opinion is the same emotion, but just a much deeper version with regard to love. Now, when you've bar found a girl several times, and you've got to know each other a little, she may well come out with the phrase, "I love you." Now, that is when she wants something. It could be just a new bag or shoes or clothes. It could be a house. Now, this phrase is just a tool in her arsenal. And you should interpret the word love as like, to be more accurate. Don't for a moment think that it's any deeper than like. The problem is that there are some simps out there who actually believe that this professional working girl is actually falling in love with them, and they end up themselves falling into a love trap. Be warned, guys. And it all starts with a bar fine. Right, we've just about made it round the market, haven't we? Just got to the end now. If you like the video, guys, please subscribe and like and share and ring the bell, and don't forget to look at gentsclub.com website. The link is in the description below, and also have a look at Patreon. So many of you guys seem to really like those uncut Soy 6 videos. I'll see you on the next video, guys.